To be Arab or not Arab. To be American or not American. To be a hyphen of some sort, a combination, a fragment of one or the other, not fully whole, not fully part, is the reality of many of us in this room today. This has been quite problematic in an ever more politically charged environment. An environment, let me start again. To be Arab or not Arab. To be American or not American. To be a hyphen of some sort, a combination, a fragment of one or the other, not fully whole, not fully part, is the reality of many of us in this room tonight. This has been quite problematic in an ever more politically charged environment. An environment that instead of promoting curiosity and community, opts instead to promote ignorance and hostility. These are the times in which we live in these United States, but these are also the times in which we continue to sing. As the poet and playwright Brecht once wrote, "In the dark times will there be singing?" Yes, there will be singing about the dark times. Speaking of which, today, May 15, marks the annual commemoration of the displacement of the Palestinian people, the destruction and depopulation of their villages and towns. It has been 71 years. And today, we continue to sing about the dark times. In the words of Mahmoud Darwish, being Palestinian is not a slogan. It is not a profession. A Palestinian is a human being, a tormented being who has daily questions, both national and existential. I say that to be a human being is to give life to the Palestinian in each one of us, no matter where we come from, because that means giving voice to everything inside us that wills the fight against all levels and forms of oppression, be them national or existential, across the world. This is how we continue to sing about the dark times. My name is Riwa Zinati, and I am a Lebanese-American poet and writer, and the founder of Sukoon magazine, which is an Arab-themed online literary magazine publishing art and literature in English. I'm thrilled to welcome you to Dome, which is Dearborn's Open Mic series in English, happening every third Wednesday of the month. And this is our second event this year, so looking forward to many more. I just want to say thank you for being here, all of you. You took the time to spend it here. You could be anywhere else, especially that it's Ramadan, so Ramadan Kareem to everybody. But you chose to be here from 7 to 8:30, and I appreciate and thank you for your support. On a personal note, I recently moved to Detroit, actually, like 3 months ago. And I was very excited to be here. The first place that I visited, literally the first week I was here, was actually the Arab American Museum. And I'm excited to be here, even though I've heard so many, like the tired cliches and the stereotypes of, oh, you're moving to Dearborn. What are you going to go do there? I don't know if you're familiar with that. Do you know what I'm talking about? People are like, you're nodding. What kind of cliches do we have here?
A lot of them.
Can you give me like one or two?
The driving.
The driving?
The driving, the insurance. Yeah.
What about like the community or the culture?
It's a bubble.
It's a bubble? Is that a good thing?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm actually, you see, I've lived in Beirut and I've lived in Dubai, I've lived in St. Louis and Iowa City, but I have never felt more excited to explore my dual identity or my triple identity like I am here in Dearborn. Because you never get that anywhere. You don't get that in Dubai, you don't get that in Iowa City, you don't get that in Beirut, even though I'm originally Lebanese. So I have it all written down here and now I'm like blanking out, sorry. Anyway, to continue, what I wanted to say was that Arab American art and literature is on the rise and has increasingly been on the radar. And being here tonight is exactly what propels us forward into further visibility and wider representation. So to be rooted in heritage yet not bogged down by it is probably the best and most difficult thing that we can try to attain for ourselves and for our children. So through poetry and storytelling, art and music, and even through the underrated power of comedy, we try to find that balance. Art and literature have always been at the forefront of profound shifts in human consciousness. This is what we try to do here at Dome. With Mother's Day behind us, I'd like to say Happy Mother's Day round 2, because where I also come from, Mother's Day is when? March 21st, which is the first day of spring. Exactly. On a metaphorical level, oftentimes we link the idea of motherhood to the idea of motherland, mother tongue, mother earth, and perhaps to many of us in this room, this rings especially true. But I'd also like to call out to the non-mothers among us, who either chose to exist without children, or have gone through an abortion, or couldn't have children even when they tried. I honestly don't think we talk enough about it. We don't talk seriously enough about this complicated and also very political topic. Especially now, if you listen to the news, what's going on?
They're banning abortion.
Anti-abortion laws, left, right, and center, everywhere, so it's a big deal. I, for one, insist on human freedom and integrity, and believe in the role of literature to push back against those in power, who always seek to strip away the right to choose and the right to bodily autonomy. Literature, what we're doing today, and art and music should aim to break down stigmas and shift the lens of the status quo. Also, in this case, the direct relationship between womanhood and motherhood, as if the two are interchangeable or cannot exist one without the other. All right. Before I lose my voice, I'd like to say that we have a great lineup tonight. We have music, we have poetry, we have stand-up comedy, and I'm very excited to introduce each and every one of them tonight. But before that, I would like to share a poem with you, in the same vein of the idea of womanhood and motherhood and gender roles. And it's called When My Mother Discovered a Box of Tampons in My Bag. When my mother discovered a box of tampons in my bag, it was summer, and she was visiting, and I was standing in the same room at the time. She seemed calm, but in my mind, she might as well have found a perfectly rolled joint, half-smoked or a neon-wrapped condom. So before she even asked, I volunteered that my roommate had left it there. It was hers and not mine, as if by disowning the object I could somehow erase the offense of pressed cotton that swelled like a womb with the weight of blood and our tissue and skin. I understood that this bullet-shaped plug implied many things to Arab mothers who passed it down to their daughters, who were supposed to believe all of it and pass it down to theirs like a family recipe or a great-grandmother's pendant. You see, it meant broken curfews and dimly lit nights in closed rooms with unfamiliar windows framing the dawn, meant too much West poured into our heads, meant we did not care about that kind of future who'd wonder about our past, snubbed and confused by how our bodies just knew how to let things go, how to make up for death when it didn't give life, or wasn't ready, or didn't want to. And that we were free to decide what goes into that body and when. So my mother tucked the box back in where she found it and zipped up my bag like a mouth full of all the words she wanted to say but didn't. Stood up and walked out of my room and asked me gently not to follow. Thank you. I just secretly drank, sorry. Without further ado, I would love to welcome our first Sorry. Here we go. Our first artist, her name is Nada Hassan. There she is. Please welcome Nada Hassan. I'm going to, she's going to talk a little bit about her work with us, and I am going to tell you a little bit about her as soon as I find her bio. Nada Hassan is a Lebanese American artist who spent her childhood in Lebanon and her adulthood in the US. She is a mother, an illustrator, and a graphic designer. Her latest illustration series is about motherhood, and it's called You Have My Heart. Nada's also working on other series that highlight current social events in the world, such as separation of kids from their parents on the border and women empowerment. And you can find all her work on nadaofficial.com. Let's please welcome Nada. Great.
Thank you, Riwa.
Put it on down.
Does it fit?
Yeah. Get closer, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for taking the time and coming to Dearborn Open Mic. And thank you, Dearborn Open Mic, for providing a welcoming and friendly environment for local artists. My name is Nada Hassan, and I don't like talking in public. Actually, I don't like talking in general.
Which is why you're an artist.
That's why I draw.
Will help, will
I I draw to express myself. I'm not good with words, so excuse me if I stumble on my words. I will let my art speak for me, but I will tell you a little bit about it. I grew up drawing as a kid. I remember. Sorry, I'm a little emotional.
Don't worry, I was worse up there.
No.
You're both doing great.
Thank you. She has a TED Talk, by the way, and it's awesome. You should watch it.
Oh, stop
It was
it.
in it. Anyway, I grew up as a kid drawing. I love drawing. It's my passion. I've been doing it my whole life. But it was not encouraged at school. So I went to college, and my family wished that I could be a doctor or at least a nurse. But I decided that I wanted to be an artist because that's what I love. And they were not very pleased. But they're still supportive. They're here today.
Sorry.
It's okay. They're fine.
Oh, it's so fun.
They're unbreakable.
Continue.
So I went to college and studied fine arts, and I graduated and learned all the techniques that an artist should know, from perfecting your techniques and improving your skills, and learning from all the previous artists. Until I graduated, I realized that this is not what I want to do. This is not my style. I need to break free from these restrictions. So I started exploring and practicing more drawing and illustrating until I broke free of those restrictions that I thought these were the right things to do. That adding more details to paintings and illustrations is better. I thought more details is better. But I started experimenting with less. I started with a white canvas and just a few lines that are surrounded with negative space. Negative space is the white space around an illustration that surrounds it, and it actually highlights it. Until I came up with a series, and this is the first thing that I could draw. Excuse me. I can do it.
Take your time.
Take your time, please.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Doing great.
Would you like
Thank
some
you.
water?
Some napkins, please. Thank you.
This is totally part of the whole like show.
It is.
Don't be fooled.
It is.
Oh my god. I should just not move.
I thought it was more.
They say
Maybe.
Volpa whenever they.
I will hold it. I'm just gonna hold it. Don't look at it.
Okay.
It's fine.
So, thank you, Rawa. So, this series is about real moments that I've lived. I have a 6 years old son, and all these drawings are inspired by real moments that I've lived with him. He's the highlight of my life, and my life has been around him ever since I knew that I was expecting him. This series starts with, you can call it a self-portrait, but it's an illustration of a woman who her heart goes down to her belly where her baby is being formed. And it stays with the baby throughout his whole life. And it's called You Have My Heart. And it shows the ups and downs of motherhood, but also about parenthood, because I think that since we're still in the spirit of Mother's Day, a lot of people play the role of a mother. So these illustrations are just examples of moments from parenthood, with the ups and downs and struggles and the sweet moments and the bittersweet moments. And they will continue throughout my whole life and throughout my son's life. And it's just they're very special to me, and it's very emotional, as you can tell, sharing these with everybody, because they're very personal. So, I also draw other things that are less emotional. I'm inspired by vintage fashion, which you can see my work on nadaofficial.com and my social media. I also like to focus on some social events that are happening in the world that also include the struggles of parenthood and children and families. So yeah, I warned you ahead of time that not about this, but I'm not very good at wording. So I would like to encourage you to come up close and take a look after the program to see the drawings. And I have a couple here that I would like to pass around for you to take a look at. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neda. That was beautiful, and sorry that you had to feel very emotional about it. A lot of beautiful work. So please do take a moment and come up and check out the work. It's very detailed. Next up is our featured poet, Yasmin Ruqiyya. Where are you? Oh, there you are, hiding.
I was hiding.
Yeah, you were hiding. But before I introduce Yasmin, please, I just want to say again, open mic sign up list. Get up and sign up your name if you'd like to. I can see the gentleman back there is thinking about it. So please do it. You have 3 minutes to share your wonderful work with us. Yasmin Ruqiyya, featured poet. Please stand up and come share your wonderful work with us. Yasmin is a Lebanese-American poet and interdisciplinary writer based here in Dearborn, Michigan. Her work centering the nexus of Arabesque America, womanhood, Islam, popular culture, has appeared in Paper Mag, Khabar Kaslan, yeah. Cliterature, awesome. The Red Fez, Jafat al-Aqlam, Winter Tangerine, the Porter Gulch Review, and many others. Catch her musings, her scribbles, and everyday things on her Instagram, The Flower of Carnage. So let's all give her a hand.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Yes. Good, okay, awesome. My name is Yasmin, I'm a local poet. I teach poetry in schools with Inside Out Literary Arts. I love the open mic. I've been with it from the beginning, and I'm so happy the momentum it has. So please, whoever is thinking about sign up, please sign up. I'm gonna share a couple of works with you guys. I'll start with just a 20-line piece that I wrote a couple of weeks ago, since we're talking about all the different facets of womanhood. Misogyny is an ice age. My jacket has lost its down. The feathers helped me touch the sun beyond the glass ceiling. Ice shards shackle my sisters, an icicle impaled Maryam. Like the ribbon the girl with the green wore, her hijab kept her together until it didn't. We live jinn lives, a double dimension existence, Arab American women. Blink if you ever felt like you were in two places at once. I lost my left foot to the frostbite, and my nose drips blood, a weeping pipe. The only hunt in this age is my honor. Body like a microchip, tracked and monitored. They check my eyes for malfunction. Anger whistles in me red like a flare. Fault is de facto, desanguine, me, never them. This lead takes me to the edge of ice, but I can only return to sender. Misogyny is an ice age, and I busy myself with collecting plumage, plotting my escape. Okay, this one is called Ancient Places. Cells cry out on the day of reckoning, and Allah commands them to betray their homes. Every curve and angle of us was a sign to the end of times. Crop tops and hip huggers, heeled sneakers busting our feet, but we were too high and mighty to hear the trumpet. On the shingled rooftops, the cold-laden train tracks, with our leather seats pushed all the way back, and charming gas station boys' cars driving down date-colored streets, fast lane time warp. Maghrib sunset fades into twinkling Fajr dawn. We blew smoke rings out of our piercings, turned our water into wine, their money into time, floated like jinn into our bedrooms before Teta stirred. The water jug is always brimming, full of Imam Ali's roar, and no matter how many times you spin that vinyl track, Allah has blessed my body as the oldest Mecca, the angels on my shoulders circumvent. This one is called Excommunication is a story they tell to keep us indoors. Excommunication is a story they tell us to keep us indoors. Do not resuscitate white noise, a woman's voice cooing. The end of times, we are here to stay. Transnational justice is the oppressor's way of omitting fault. On the Friday night, a plant screams for 9 hours. A phone rings at the wrong moment. I awake in a sheet of ice, craving foreign soil. In my plate, blue fish from Lake Michigan swim. We packed shawarma for the trip up north. Watched marathons of monster movies for comedy and not tragedy. The Minutemen stand firm on the horizon, made of faulty steel and corduroy sky. I offer them nothing. They plunder the Big Dipper. The Hajis on the porch front send a carrier pigeon. They saw me floating into strange cars by the corner store, but never stopped picking grape leaves from my fence. This one is a work in progress, but I really want to share it because I really like it. It's untitled, but here it goes. 1. 2 passports to leave, 1 to return. The homeland of my heart is a ghost playing saz on a rooftop. In the billowing night, home prickles at my skin, ears swallow and strain the admixture of language, Arabs and Arabic, Arabs and American, 2 seas separated by a seam. On a plane ride to pine nuts and cherry picking, the flight attendant runs my foot with her juiced cart. I kick and land in a desert as large as my imagination. They stamp my book with useless geometry. Home becomes a dense fog, an undercooked hamburger pushed to the edge of a paper plate. Once at this hipster bar in Detroit, I am interrupted, per usual, a man praising my survival. It's so progressive of you, writing your thoughts down in a place like this. Another disconnected flight over the Atlantic. The pilot declares Judgment Day. I use the dull kitchen knife under my seat as flotation. I cut my hair as offering to land anywhere solid. I think I'll read one more and then I'll open the floor to somebody else. This poem is called A Woman at the Stake, remembering that in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, the street poet was also killed for crimes he did not commit. Does anybody remember in Julius Caesar, other than the misplaced clock, where there's just a random street poet and they're looking for conspirators and then they're like, kill him for his bad rhymes? That's sometimes how I feel. So I wrote this poem. Among the politic, I am an easy target, with children on my hip, father on my back, my husband's name the only proof of success. I, the poet, a woman, begging in the streets for ears dipped in honey, like Caesar's own Cena, cut and blackened for conspiracies inherited by proximity. Back to the garden, its mass exodus of Christian knowledge, my words herald only in tandem of tragedy or man's fleeting mercy. Have you ever encountered the devil eating with his left hand, a naked steak unmarked by love or light, ignited by Jupiter's own jealousy? This cigarette is where I draw my last breath. This funeral pyre a pulpit holds free verse. Lo and behold, heaven lies under the scorched earth of my feet. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Yasmin. You're great. And thank you, that was beautiful, Yasmin. And thanks for sharing that work in progress. Definitely something to look at. Please send your work to Sukun.
I was about to say I was going to.
Yes, please. All right, so next up, we are shifting from art and poetry to none other than comedy. So, yay! We have here in the house none other than Amir Zahir, who I'm pretty sure he doesn't need an introduction, but I will introduce him anyway. He is a Palestinian Arab-American comedian, writer, law professor, radio host, filmmaker, and activist. So let's please welcome Amir Zahir. And I just want to say that I just watched his TED Talk on We Are Not White, which is really cool. So please, everybody, watch it if you haven't. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. All right, thank you, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, so it'll be sort of a mix of stand-up comedy and a little bit of commentary, podium comedy and a little bit of commentary. First of all, it's great to see everybody. Thank you for Dearborn Open Mic and the leadership of Wissam and Yasmin for putting this thing together. And I guess I'll start by saying Merry Ramadan to everybody. And I'm sort of the opposite of Neda. I am bad at drawing, so I talk for a living. And it is May 15th, like here was said. And I'll get into that in a second, but something that's been bothering me a lot lately is these ancestry commercials that they have on TV all the time, because white people, are there any white people here? Just a couple? Yeah, all right. Because white people don't know where they come from, so they need to take these ancestry tests, and it doesn't make any sense to me. They just have a different conception of race than the rest of us. I don't know if anyone has watched these Ancestry.com commercials. I know why white people do it. They don't do it to find out like what part of London they're from. They do it because they're hoping it comes back as like 6% black or 7% Native American. So they're something, because they're nothing, and they just want to be something. And if you watch the commercials, you can tell they have a different conception of culture or race than the rest of us. I don't know if you've seen these commercials. Our whole life we thought we were German. And I took my Ancestry.com test, and I found out we're 21% Italian. And now we go to the Olive Garden, and we have spaghetti, and that's not the way it works. I think I understand the way. They have this one commercial, you should look it up. Her name is Kim. And she's standing in front of all these artifacts. And she says, "My name is Kim, and I took my Ancestry.com test. And what surprised me the most is I found out I'm 26% Native American. I had no idea." You had no idea? I know I'm not a genetic specialist or anything, all right? But 26%'s a lot. That's like a whole grandparent, at least. I know where my grandmother's from. I know where she's from. I don't need a test. I know my grandmother's grandmother is from. That's part of being Palestinian. We know a lot of that shit. We don't need a test. So they get on these things, and let me tell you something. Also, to any white people out there, if you didn't know that your grandmother was Native American, like if they hid that from you, that's not a good story. All right, there's not a good history behind that. Somebody stole something, somebody got raped. It's not a good story. I'm waiting for the Ancestry.com commercial where somebody is happy to find out that he's Arab. I'm waiting for that. I don't think we're ever going to see that Ancestry.com commercial. Our whole life, we thought we were Puerto Rican. And then I took my Ancestry.com test, and what surprised me the most is I found out I'm 26% Arab. And now we go to the airport early, and we just such bullshit. All right. But today, speaking of ancestry, today I am Palestinian, and today is May 15th. It is 71 years since the Nakba. You have to feel bad for these Israelis. You have to feel bad for them. They have tried everything to get rid of us. Everything. But we just won't die. 70 years ago, their militias entered our villages and towns. They came heavily armed and heavily determined to displace and dispossess us. They massacred entire populations. They demolished 400 villages. They stole property. They were ruthless. And from their point of view, they did a pretty good job. They turned about 800,000 Palestinians into refugees. We Palestinians call that Nakba, or the catastrophe. We commemorate it every May 15th. In 1967, Israel commenced its military occupation of the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. As a result of that war, another 300,000 Palestinians fled their ancestral homeland. A number of additional villages were destroyed. A couple refugee camps, which were housing some of the Palestinian refugees from 1948, were also depopulated. That means some Palestinians became refugees twice at the hand of Israel in 20 years. That's got to be some kind of record. And we Palestinians call that Innexith, or the setback. We commemorate that every June 5th. In 1976, after Israel announced it was expropriating hundreds of acres of private Palestinian land for state purposes, Palestinians called for a general strike and protest. In the ensuing demonstrations, 6 unarmed Palestinians were murdered by the Israeli military, with 100 more wounded. We Palestinians call that Yom el-Ard, or Land Day. We commemorate it every March 30th. So, quick review. May 15th, they stole our land. June 5th, they stole our land. March 30th, they stole our land. As you can see, there's a theme. In 2018, between March 30th, that's Yom el-Ard, and May 15th in Nakba, Palestinians in Gaza protested at the Israeli border every day. About 80% of Gaza's residents, nearly 2 million of them, are refugees from villages that are literally walking distance from their new homes where they live now in the Gaza Strip. Israel murdered 183 Palestinians during those 6 weeks. They massacred 60 alone on May 15th, 2018, as Israelis and Americans were celebrating the opening of the new American embassy in Jerusalem, just an hour's drive away, which Gazans have never been to. We have not come up with a name for that day yet. They've tried all these things to get rid of us, and it just hasn't worked out for them. We just won't die. But they've tried more. Settlements, arson, extrajudicial assassinations, killing children, killing pregnant mothers, illegal eviction, the list goes on. They even declared falafel as the Israeli national snack. That one hurts. They've tried everything to get rid of us. In fact, getting rid of us has really been their only objective for 70 years, and frankly, they're not that good at it. We just won't die. And not only are we stubbornly staying alive, this whole Nekba, Neksi, Yom al-Ard stuff has actually made us stronger. Palestinians are the hardest working people in the world. Because our homeland was stolen from us, we have to excel everywhere we go. We don't have an easy fallback. If we mess up, we can't just go back to our country. It doesn't work like that for us. There's no plan B. So we are super successful. We are serial overachievers. We're not just a mechanic, we own the garage. We're not just a doctor, we're the chief of staff of the whole hospital. We're not just a prophet. We are the virgin-born Messiah coming back to save the world from the Antichrist. Big-time prophets. Palestinians are the smartest people in the world. After losing our land, for the time being at least, we realized quite quickly that education was going to become our passport. So we got educated, like really educated. More PhDs per capita than any other people on planet. More engineers, more doctors. Not enough lawyers, though. We need more of those, especially in our copyright claims on homos. Palestinians have to learn a few languages just to get along. In the West Bank, Gaza, and Jerusalem, getting a good job usually means working for an international organization or a non-governmental organization, where one must speak near perfect English, along with their native Arabic. For Palestinians who live in Israel, Hebrew comes along for the ride too. So, that's right, in the midst of trying to exterminate us, they've turned us into multilingual human beings. To illustrate all these points, I'd like to tell you the case of a particular refugee that I know quite well. His name is George Zahar. He was born in Jaffa, Palestine in March 1948. At 1 month old, he became a refugee. He grew up in Jordan, starting his education in United Nations schools. Then he finished high school with honors, college with honors, master's degree with honors, and a doctorate degree in chemistry with honors. As you can see, there's a theme. His education got him a professorship, then a well-paying research position in America for 35 years. A big house, nice cars, college-educated kids, the whole thing. That's the Palestinian story. From nothing to everything. Education catapulted my dad from literally a shoeless Palestinian refugee to a spoiled American who owns like a triple control 7-jet multifunctional Bluetooth enabled state-of-the-art voice activated shower. I love this country, man. And it all happened because Israel tried to get rid of him. And they weren't good at it. But there's one more thing. Remember how I said Israel created 800,000 Palestinian refugees in 1948? Well, that was true. But they did not get everyone. No. About 150,000 Palestinians remained in what is today Israel. Now, if those 150,000 had increased at the average global population growth rate, today they should number about 350, 400,000 people. But they're not 350 or 400,000 people. No. They are 1.8 million. That's right. That's right. That's right. They drop bombs, we drop babies. They have tanks and helicopters, but we have the strongest weapon in the world. It's Ramadan, so I don't want to point to it. But we have the strongest weapon in the world. And that population spike is not our fault. When you shut down the roads, deprive us of jobs, and confine us to ghettos, That's a lot of free time to fill. 24 hours is a lot of hours in a day when you're not doing much. And don't forget, 2,000 years ago, we got a woman pregnant without touching her. So what do you think was going to happen when we started touching each other? So I guess my message on today, May 15th, is this: don't push us. Don't challenge us. We end up as multilingual, super educated, hyper reproductive, overachieving marvels. That's right. Don't mess with us Palestinians. If you do, we will outwork you, we will outsmart you, and if necessary, we will outfuck you too. All right, thank you everybody. Have a good night.
Oh, that was cool. That was cool. Thank you, Ahmed Zahesh. Wow. All right. So now we are going to open up the stage for open mic, and I have a few names up here on the list. Who would like to add their names to the list? Yes? No? Thought you were getting up to add your name when you were leaving? Sure. Okay. Anybody? So we'll start with Ali Al-Arifi. Please, come up.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. So these are from a collection I've been working on for the past year. Mostly focuses on mental health, but here it goes. These are all the things I could have said. When I have so much to say, there's a voice in my head that says shut up. And for some reason, when the voice tells me to shut up, I can't help but stay silent because it wants me to anticipate the shit that could easily come out of the ones that were part of my day. You know what else it says? You can do it. And when that voice says I can do it, I can stop the train, which is your thoughts, and I can easily pull the lever that could curve the flow of words into another direction because right now my time is worth it. I make it sound like I have multiple voices in my head, but it's only one distinct voice that I use because sometimes it's too quiet while I try to sleep. I like to pretend that I hear a roar of a fan in my face so I can feel alive. Seek help. Seek another voice, a comfortable, objective voice that can say all the words and all the resolve that I contemplated every time, 97 times actually, and I sit here and come up with all the reasons that I am the best therapist for myself. When I say I'm not crazy, I am not. And now you're thinking that I am because I'm using the word crazy and the words I am not in the same sentence with a hint of shrill in my voice, and it shakes because I know you're judging me. Judgment. When I say the word, I think of God with a sledgehammer instead of a gavel because it's dramatic that way, smashing the podium that is your perception that I used to declare my sanity and to defend myself from the voice that holds me back of what I am capable of. I am capable. Capable of so much that wonder is inescapable of the love that I hold back because I forget to give it to myself. I forget that existing in this body and realizing that it needs love too is enough. It's enough to grasp that being allowed to let myself breathe is my choice. I choose to breathe, and when I exhale, I will tell you all the things that I could have muttered when I never had the voice. Because it felt like my mind had a foot, and that foot was forced on my vocal cords, like my tongue split in half from constant razor-sharp words that formed from my frustrations. And if you heard those words, they would have given you the deepest of wounds. And if I kissed you, my tongue would introduce you to a prison that you can never be free from. I could have said a lot of things. I kept them to myself because inflicting myself first makes me immune to the many apples in Eden that I could have tasted when you presented the garden to me. And that voice is the last one that I hear before I sleep in the burial ground that is my bed, the burial ground where I leave my day behind. And when that voice says you did it, and in that dream I am suffocating and all I can do is watch myself. So I guess I'll just do this one. Okay, so this one's I Want You Happy. Is that so crazy to even say, even though I don't think about me? I want you to look at the ground and be content with your placement. And when you look back, that is, if you look back, I want you to look at the footsteps in the sand and be comfortable enough to take another step without having to worry about the ocean taking them away. When you look at the night sky, I want the moon to be your best friend and not the thing associated with the love that you knew you had, that you knew you could have been, only thing sure. The trails that many could have taken, but those many have never taken it with you, could have been the trails that could have led us to the epitome of love, to that place where you could access only when you're sitting in front of a campfire, with frail fingers locked into other frail fingers, sitting in silence, because that moment is more precious than any time when those fingers had no limits. Ink. The ink that soaked those countless pages, and the pages that were once acres of trees, were words that I could have equaled to being the best words that could have been quotes that would eventually be posted, just so others that view the post could understand the exact feeling that just sits on the tip of my tongue, and when asked a simple response of, oh, it's just a quote, hoping anyone would believe it. Time. Made it all clear. It made us realize that love is abundant, an infinite well that could never be dry, that could never be tainted or wasted. If that love was the only thing left in a home that was broken after countless years, love would be the indestructible glue that could have held it all together. I write words down, hoping I could make sense of the thoughts that take over my head, like when I drive to a place, I park, and I don't remember that I made a left, a right, a left, a right, and another right to make it to the place that I claimed as my home. I think my mind forgot itself at the door. That's what happened. My mind forgot itself at the door, and when it came down to it, love welcomed my heart in a warm caress, and the only thing my mind could do is watch from the outside. Watching the happiness that I never could have gained from anyone else except myself, watching love intertwine in laughter and subtle sounds of English artists, to watching petals decay in a candle-polluted room where the heat of your body was warmer than any blanket. I want you to be happy. I want you to experience the things that I lacked. I want you to run as fast as your lungs allow, not from the things that scare you, but towards the things you love most. I want you to keep attempting to fly as high and as far as you can, and beyond that point with your hands, hold it, as well as it tells you that you're important. Not to them, but how important you are to this world, because if this world had more people like you, this world would be envious of itself. I want you to be happy. I want you to be yourself. Thank you.
Sharing your work, your wonderful work, your important work. Next up is Raneem Amar. Please share your. You can also tell us a little bit about yourself if you want.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll do that. Hi everybody. My name is Raneem. This is my first. I'm not nervous, but I am. This is my first time doing something like this, and if I stutter, I'm sorry.
Let's give her a round.
This is a poem, and it's not titled. I didn't feel the need to title it. Silently, I disrupt my memory so that what's left of the burnt nerve end would not matter. I have destroyed my central nervous system. It convulses at the outside, and I must attempt to control the inside, and that's where I fail, not it. The aftertaste of the underarm of Orion captured, leaving me without a drop of the stolen elixir. Comparable to dry wine subtly washing my speech is fine, accompanied with pleasant subtleties. There the sudden realization lies, stating the awful difference between bottomless obsession and sacred union. Shut your eyes or blink slowly as the tragedy befalls, as if that will empty it of its desire for devastation. Tragedy cannot go against its nature. It must fulfill its destiny of destruction, and your eyes cannot become darker as they shut. Only dilation of wisdom at the pupil. Denounce your role as one, look for a lover instead. Treat the defense as if it were romantic. Romantic love blesses the feeble, and they cannot cope with just the roses. An insatiable need for more attacks, and that in itself has no end, but a bitter cycle. How satisfying is the unconditional love, for it breaks the structure and knows no need for self-satisfaction. I've seen tragic lovers cry in grief corners with only self-serving attachment harnessing these tears. I must hold back my soft laughter, void of chauvinism, only light-hearted watching the purest fool, and I reminisce as if those were the golden days, an untouched cradle and virgin mind. Naives on a path of a journey I ventured on, and how ironic are these one-sided reflections until humans on the other side decide to rest on the easy boulder, smell the fresh-cut basil and mint of time, and softly breathe in that new now smell. Staring into the cosmic mirror in golden rules, and in felt-tip trips softly afraid of the unknown void caressing the cheek of perfectly balanced nothing. So worried to forfeit the ruins of their empty central nervous system, Then they will remember gratitude that accompanied the dance of eternal love, a gift with no sender, only one that shines through a purebred pile of light. I give this to you and ask for nothing in return, to a solitude investigating the autoimmunity of the central nervous system. Even if my brain's exterior walls peel and my agency compels, I've no need to stop it. The mind has disciplined river-like flow, but I spoke to my ancestors and desperately accused broken clocks to be regretful of their own waste of time, but I cannot speak, I am a damaged soliloquy. Simultaneous thought and touch, a memory burned at the end of the film reel. The conscious wheel seashells, traps and releases me in its meditation. While we exist in a realm without pain, only perception of this emotional and cognitive dissonance between us, there is just a conscious thread of peace we have no pressure to attain. For I am the observer watching my conflicts rage, and the inner madness ensues while I delegate on whether or not I should interrupt you or continue listening to the beautiful harmonies within the vibration of your voice as you meditate on existential conditioning. And all I can think about is locking myself into the chambers of your angelic sounding existence and fragmenting until I am angelic nobody, but a passenger in your death cab, looking for the nearest exit to understand you better and to lose myself further in you. There is healing and refreshment from the dry lesion in my peripheral system. But I must equilibrate and die before you touch the imbalanced article leaning against my chest, seeking you to understand my truth, and in return I will not owe you anything but feeling your trickling down honesty. I've stumbled into you as if ravens collected at my feet, and I understood they were kraken before I read it in the book I bought from the bookstore you love going to. We'll probably never read the same books. I read for different reasons, and all that's left to address with another human being honest and undressed. I ask you, taking one last swig, drinking the likes of the cure to corruption with all the fixings, how damaged is your central nervous system, and who measures the quality to fix it?
Thank you so much, Ranim. Please keep sharing your work and keep writing. I mean, I'm sure you're going to keep writing. That was awesome. Anybody would like to share their work? Open mic. I want to say first of all, Wissam is going to share his work, but I want to say thank you to Wissam and to Yasmin for setting up Dearborn Open Mics, and I just recently joined, and I want to thank them for getting me on board as well. So please, let's give a round of applause to Wissam for sharing his work with us now.
Thank you. There's no one else on the list, right?
No.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I want to also thank Dr. Ali Ajami, former ambassador of Lebanon to Sweden and to Côte d'Ivoire, and also the former Consular General of Lebanon in Detroit, for his attendance and also for supporting this work of art and the Arabic Open Mic, which takes place in Muntada Thaqafi, takes place in the first Wednesday of each month. This is all this work is being organized by a group of volunteers under the Center for the Arab American Center for Culture and Arts. Currently, Dr. Ali is the elected president of this organization. And thank you all for attending, and for the museum also for providing that space, facilitating that space to be a space where culture and arts flourishes. So I'd like to participate with you with maybe a poem or two. You tell me if time allows, and then we'll go to the music section. I want to just read the thank you note here that I've left. This is a collection of my oldest poems called The Opposite Swings, and for me it's like a black and white photographs of my soul when I first came to this country. So for me it has a value. I might not feel the same way, but for me it holds that it's like artifacts. I visit myself back then when I read these poems. And in the dedication, I've dedicated that to every artist. I say, I would like to thank all those who believed. I would like to thank every poet who stood at an open mic shaking, thinking their poetry was not good enough to be recited. You gave me the courage to pursue my poetry because I felt the same way until I heard your poetry. So thank you for everyone who participated today. Maybe I'll pick the poem that is the theme of the book, called The Opposite Swings. So I came as a young, innocent guy and filled with romantic ideas, and then I was put right away into the harsh environment of industrial work and all the difficulties of al-ghurba, in estrangement. So I felt that my feelings are not fitting in my environment. So I always had this duality in feelings. One feeling I can express, and the other feeling I only feel and I keep to myself. And this poem probably represents that. The opposite swings. I want to be reincarnated as a giraffe, she says. As we sway in the dark park, she looks at my lips, waits for a smile back. These minutes before midnight, when the summer moon cools the calm water of the sad Detroit River, two swings wobble under the heedless sky. Too romantic, but no romance. Different directions, same rhythm. I see her face when we meet in the middle. I miss her when I swing forward. I miss her when I swing backwards, and her fingers hold the gray chain, and her hair falls to sleep on her back peacefully. When her sight is my only vision, and her scent is what I breathe. You, she asks. Me? I want to be reincarnated as a giraffe too, I say. But what I mean is, as the cross hanging on your chest, as your pillow. I want to be reincarnated as the white sheets on your bed, as your night diary, as the pen embraced by your fingers and pocketed near your heart. I want to be reincarnated as a red blood cell circulating your veins, as a beauty mark submerged in your flesh, as a scar drawn carefully on your knee. She sighs, the wind whispers her sigh, and I just smile. One more. Okay, so this poem is a little bit surrealistic, because the situation was surrealistic. Millions of balls. The days of your absence gather around me like millions of balls. Yellow balls, red balls, your fingers play with the leaves and they fall unconscious off the trees. The psalm you wrote for me one night, the color is fading. The words stop on your lips, some with flutes, some sing. The sun fears you. In the morning it fears you. It fears the unnoticed myth in you, the unbroken code, the unsung epic. Black balls, the sad hair that you exiled away from my hands, the rubber of the wheels that move you away, the burnt wood and the suburbs where you walk down to a cardboard box and comfort the frustrated animal in the chest of an old man. Blue balls, the color under the eyes of your patience, the pure path of tears, the pavements of hungry cities, the color of the night when you look up and pray, set me free, God, from the tent of black, this that lovers call the sky. Millions of balls rolling down the stairs of the college, down the floors of memories, bouncing between downtown skyscrapers and between the two tunnel walls. Millions of balls up to my neck, how can I forget? Up to my nose, millions of balls. Thank you.
Thank you, Issam. Now we're going to move to our music segment, and I would like to introduce Ziad Nasser, who is going to be playing oud, right? But before that, He's going to be playing Mahmoud Darwish's poem to my mother. He'll be playing it in Arabic, of course, but I have a handout for you, each one of you who can, kind of look and follow the translation, so you can enjoy that. Beautiful poem. Of course, you might not need that. Yeah.
في مايك واحد تقريبا للسيستم.
Okay.
هزيتيت حتى بس ما نمشي على المسرحية
في عنا
راح استعمل هيدا
All right, I feel like I'm in a classroom.
الكيبورد مش بحب.
And I'm going to introduce Ziad Nasser in English, if I may. I'm going to introduce you.
اتفضل.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Are you going to move it? Do you want to move it? Yeah.
Move it. You can start your after you're done.
No problem. All right, so Ziad Nasser.
Here. Just.
Ziad Nasser was born and raised in Beirut within an artistic environment on the side of his maternal family. And even though his family chose not to pursue or hone their art, like many other conservative families in the early 1940s, art was very much ingrained in Ziad's upbringing. Since he was a young boy, he taught himself how to play oud, guitar, and how to sing. This remains as a hobby for Ziad as he continues to spread and uphold his love for music, the magnificence of the arts, and all the joy that music and art can bring about. He has witnessed the rise of many notable composers, poets, singers, and musicians over the years. Ziad is a founding member of Salon El Fan and a board member of the Free Thinking Society. Let's please give him a warm round of applause.
Yes.
No, thank you though, thank you. لأنه قريب من أول. اوكي هذا خليني بس حتى فرجيك هذه كمان أنا وأنت. we're gonna give you just a little break so we can do a good setup.
So we can have a 5 minutes break until Ziad is ready.
إذا بتحبوا.
2 minutes.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? 2 minutes. Don't go far if you don't have to. Don't get up if you don't have to.
Mr. Zahar, please.
Now, do you need help?
لا مش هيك بدي أقول لك شغلة.
Okay, sure, no problem. وأنا عامر مش مستر زهر.
طيب أنا زياد لأنه أنا في شخص جدا عزيز الآن هي 47 not
1948. No, who's the next 1948?
بس 1972 so صار لك
بس مش فاهم. 871 years the next.
no 46 هي 47
47 47 in 1948.
1971 Station 515 1975
What's 1970?
ثاني واحد الجاين فلت معي وتر الصوت الجاين الثاني بدي وطيه فلت الفا معي. بليز اعطيني الفا. العواد مثل البيبيز they have to be in intensive care all the time يعني التمبرتشر الضوء كله بيأثر على دوزان العود. Testing one. Testing one. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Testing. مساء الخير واهلا وسهلا بالجميع. بالدرجة الأولى برحب بسعادة السفير دكتور علي عجمي لأنه دايما بزيد عبق على المكان اللي بيكون فيه بخبرته وبلطفه. برحب فيكم وبشكر كل الشعراء اللي قدموا وبالأخص اللي قالوا أول مرة. الوقفة ورا الميكروفون أو بعين المشاهد مش هينة بالتأكيد. نحن بحاجة للكل للجميع بكل المستويات، بالكلمة، بالفكر، بالأغنية. وأنا شخصياً ببشر بفرح الأغاني لأنه الأغاني عبر التاريخ أثبتت أنه هي اللي بتبقى أكتر من أي شيء تاني. ومن هون يمكن بنشوف حتى المعتقدات اعتمدت الأغاني بصلواتها، بتجويدها، بحفظ أو تحفيظ هيدا الفكر للأجيال التانية. والموسيقى يمكن من الشغلات القليلة إنسانياً اللي تكبر مع الوقت، ما بتصغر، يعني ما بتزول. فأنا شخصياً بدعي الكل ليغنوا، وقت اللي بيغنوا مش ليستعرضوا مهارة ولا ليفرجوا موهبة. غنوا تفرحوا، لا تحزنوا، غنوا، الغنى حلو. أهلا وسهلا. طبعا رح نقول محمود درويش. علي الصوت.
No, can you speak in English?
In English, definitely. We're gonna do this. This song is written by a Palestinian, well-known Mahmoud Darwish, and the vocalist and the composer is the Marcel Khalifi, the Marcel Khalifi. It speaks about mother, the land, the mother, the nature. All of the feelings in this song is incarnated by a great musician also, which is Marcel Khalifi. I hope I could translate it in English, but I think sometimes
We have to have it.
such things as in singing. I wish I can sing it in English.
No,
يعني.
No, please not. Please not.
So please enjoy it. I hope you're gonna enjoy it.
Mr. Ziad, do you know the story behind it?
The story behind القصيدة.
القصيدة. القصيدة. تعرف القصة behind it?
تعال تفضل
I
إذا
don't. Because if you do, you can share it.
بنسأل دكتور علي.
He was in prison.
Yeah.
صح.
That's it.
بكفي إنه كان بالحبس. Okay, he was in prison. Yeah.
It's a very inspiring experience.
ما هو يعني most of his life يعني he was in some way somehow.
The story I read that he was in prison and his mom came to visit him. For some reason, they prevented her from seeing him. And she brought him some oranges and they threw it away. And he wrote that poem on the cover of a cigarette box.
Right. Thank you, Issam. بتقول على الصوت. أحن إلى خبز أمي وقهوة أمي ولمسة أمي. أحن إلى خبز أمي وقهوة أمي ولمسة أمي. وتكبر في الطفولة يوما على صدري يوم. وتكبر في الطفولة يوما على صدري يوم. وأعشق عمري لأني إذا مت أخجل من دمعي أمي. خذيني أمي إذا عدت يوما وشاحا لهدك. خذيني أمي إذا عدت يوما وشاحا لهدك. خذيني أمي إذا عدت يوما وشاحا لهدك. وغطي عظامي بعشب تعمد من طهر كعبك. وغطي عظامي بعشب تعمد من طهر كعبك. وشدي وثاقي بخصلة شعر بخيط يلوح في ذيل ثوبك. بخيط يلوح في ذيل ثوبك. عساني أصير إلها إلها أصير. عساني أصير إلها إلها أصير إذا ما لمست قرارة قلبك. أمي أحن إلى خبز أمي وقهوة أمي ولمسة أمي. وتكبر في الطفولة يوما على صدري يوم. وأعشق عمري لأني إذا مت أخجل من دمعي أمي. من دمعي أمي. ضعيني إذا ما رجعت وقودا بتنور نارك. وحبل غسيل على سطح دارك. ضعيني إذا ما رجعت وقودا بتنور نارك يا أم. وحبل غسيل على سطح دارك. لأني فقدت الوقوف بدون صلاة نهارك. هارمت فردي نجوم الطفولة. هارمت فردي نجوم الطفولة حتى أشارك صغار العصافير. هارمت فردي نجوم الطفولة حتى أشارك صغار العصافير. درب الرجوع لعش انتظارك. درب الرجوع لعش انتظارك. هرمت فردي نجوم الطفولة حتى أشارك صغار العصافير، حتى أشارك درب الرجوع لعش انتظارك، درب الرجوع لعش انتظارك. أمي ولمسة أمي أحن إلى خبز أمي وقهوة أمي ولمسة أمي، وتكبر في الطفولة يوما على صدري يوما، وتكبر في الطفولة يوما على صدري يوم، وأعشق عمري لأني إذا مت أخرج من دمعي أمي، من دمعي أمي، من دمعي
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was just in tears back there. That was beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Whoever shared their work, the poets, comedy, art, and thank you for being here tonight. And let's, talk to each other, mingle, and have a wonderful rest of the evening. See you next month.
Thank you.